And hey everybody, welcome to once again another live stream of Tridek with the team. I'm Christopher, pretty much the one always talking. Additionally, we have Christian Dickert, who is the creative director here at DreamFab and also producer for Tridek. We have Bastian also on the call. And we're also going to have a special guest, Josh Boykin from gotgame.com. Will also be in the call to ask some questions and find out more information from everybody. So hopefully everyone learns something. Hi, Josh. So yeah, Josh, Christian is the creative director, as I said earlier. He's also producer. So when it comes to a lot of the technical stuff and a lot of the upcoming features that we're currently working on, he's really the go-to man for you. So hopefully any questions you have, just start throwing them at him. And yeah.
How it turns out.
Thanks a lot. Anything you want to know?
Well, I think it'd be really awesome to hear a little bit about just the overall background of how you came up with, I guess, some of the lore behind Tridek, the environments, the different creatures, and kind of it's like you've got this really cool hybrid between like a sort of dinosaurs, almost prehistoric, and then also this high technology with hacking and support cards, things like that.
Mind if I butt in just for a second there, Christian?
I thought so. Go
ahead. Basically, Tridek was designed originally by Alex Vedel. I mentioned him to you before last time we talked, our resident artist. When he started, the planet of Galena is extremely long way from Earth. In light years, it translates to, somewhere around 290,000 UE. Essentially, a colony ship that was sent there ended up crashing on the planet, not being able to leave. Faced with just a ton of adversity. I mean, you can see in the creatures, they're not exactly the most friendly. And also with a lot of technology, but very limited resources, the scientists who also formed TAG, which is the Tridek Association of Galena, who made all of the rules, they figured out ways to basically control the creatures in the environment. That way they could use them, for protection to help the colonists survive, essentially. The only problem with that is, the people are still human. When you have one person with a really big guard dog and another guy with a big guard dog and they have a fight, what's going to happen? So, TAG was actually formed to get rid of, this underground sport. It's actually quite a long story. I can send you a full brief because we'll actually be posting on Saturday a pretty long website post on the lore.
Awesome.
And also building up that section of the website starting Saturday because there's a lot of people who also asked about it. As for some of the conceptualization that's actually in the game, like UI elements, stuff like that, I'm sure Christian has the answers to.
Yeah, why don't we go into a little bit about that, how you've come up with the overall design and kind of feel of the game.
Yeah, I'd love to. As Christopher already mentioned, the creative mastermind behind this is Alex Vedel. and he is both the creature artist that we have in the game. So all these fantastic and beautiful creatures are actually down to his craft, and he has also designed the game over the course of several years. So this is actually started out as some kind of a fan project in 2008, 2009, and he kept iterating on that and developing that. And when we started working together in early 2012, we made a couple of design decisions. And one of that decisions that you already mentioned actually is that technology and nature are opposing. That dual theme is visible throughout the game. It builds the visual tension that the game has, and that's, for example, the reason why we have this kind of plant-like appearance for the menu, with that plant growing through the screen and spawning the different menu items. And also, of course, the very technical UI, clean-looking, holographic, a little bit, I should say. So it's like playing on a Microsoft Surface table, or a little bit like Minority Report or a Star Trek datapad that you're interacting with. And on the other hand, that very natural shapes in the creatures and the backgrounds that you're seeing on the cards. Yeah, and we'll continue to expose that over time, so both the lore and the art will be shown, will be exposed. The game itself does only reveal so much at the moment, but we'll use the website and also updates of the game to show you more of Galena and the story of the colonists.
Great.
Yeah.
Christopher, what's going on? Are you playing a game?
Yeah, I just challenged Bastion to a quick pickup game. And working on posting a quick little thing, just a little quote from the lore.
So, Josh, how do you like our new play screen? We recently redesigned it.
I will say, you know, it's just like I was saying yesterday to Christopher, that it's a very slick interface. It feels very clean, very organized. I've been playing card games since actually the Star Wars card game that Decipher put out back in, I think, 95, 6. So pretty familiar with how they go, and as far as the advent of virtual card games has been concerned, I've been into been kind of turned off, turned on by different games, and I really like that this one has a really solid interface. It's really easy to see your hand at a glance. One of the little things that sticks out for me in a big way is the exclamation point on the kind of thumbnail of the card that lets you know that there's action text on that card. It's so frustrating when you have to go and zoom into each individual card just to find out whether or not there's any extra information you're supposed to have. So it's little additions and little attentions to detail like that makes the game flow really smoothly.
Yeah, we've iterated on the cards a lot. Maybe can you zoom one, Christopher?
Yep.
Not this one.
This is actually one of my favorites here, the Kelbone.
It is.
From a design standpoint, with the colorations, but also, you know, in the stance, it's a wicked card.
Yeah, we have iterated quite a lot about over the cards. They were not quite as impressive in the beginning. I mean, we started out with a physical prototype that we played a lot up and down last year, but when we started to transform that into the digital form, we rethought everything. So the cards, as you can see them now, have no similarity left to the physical prototype. Even though the creatures are all designed from scratch, everyone hand painted, And yeah, we changed a lot. So I'm really happy with the cards now, and I think we need to be, because they are the collectible items of the game. People need to be adoring the cards, otherwise they won't want to collect them.
Yeah, the art style is definitely one of the highlights. I think it's interesting how it meshes together so well, the overall feeling.
Okay, so there's your Keldon.
There's also some in the text. Shadows also states that it's definitely cleaner than Magic Online. Thanks for that. That's appreciated. Again, there is also, don't forget guys, you can also sign up on Tridek.com for the forums. All of your feedback is, yeah, it's important and it's essential.
Yeah, I mean, this UI that you're seeing right now is optimized for mobile, so it needs to, the elements need to be big enough so you can pick them up with your finger. But maybe you have also seen the PC mockups on our website, on the Kickstarter page, where we can do so much more, because you can optimize for mouse controls and higher screen resolutions.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to play both. I've done the iPad build as well as the PC build, and it's very interesting how it still feels very natural to use the PC. I think you're right. It does feel, you know, optimized for mobile, but it still feels very streamlined and very effective, doing all the reading and actually playing the game with a mouse and keyboard too. So, well, just a mouse. So, very well done.
Yeah, we will be able to do so much more as soon as we do the PC optimization as well. This is only going to get better over time. I mean, we continue developing anyway.
Can you tell me a bit about some of the optimizations you have planned for PC?
Yeah, the biggest optimization obviously comes from the controls. I mean, as you mentioned already, you have a keyboard, so we want to take full advantage of that. So you can fully use your both hands as soon as you're into the keyboard shortcuts and everything. You're going to be much quicker and more efficient controlling the game. And there are some areas of the game, like the deck builder, where it really shows. Right now we have a UI that is partitioned into 3 areas, because this has to work on the tiniest smartphone. So if you play it on a iPhone, for example, the deck building still has to work. But on a big PC screen, we can completely rearrange everything, so you can see all the important information at one glance and don't have to switch between the 3 partitions. And also the controls, the scrolling through the cards, selecting stuff, filtering stuff, is going to be so much more convenient on PC. And also the organic and technical style, it starts to shine. The more resolution you have, the more frame rate we have. The smoother it runs, the more beautiful it gets. And for that we have chosen our technology pretty wisely, I guess, because this is all using Autodesk Scaleform for the UI. And that ensures that the game runs full screen and full resolution everywhere. So you're never going to get jaggies or anything like that. So if you're really playing the game, you're going to play the game on a full HD monitor or something like that, or even more. We can include higher resolution assets for the painted creatures, so they're going to be bigger on the screen. And all the other UI elements, they're vector based, so they scale up without any artifacting.
Beautiful. So it looks like we've got a lot of gameplay going here. Did you have an opportunity to just kind of walk through some of the basics of how the gameplay progresses and I don't know, different things you've come up with as far as the balancing of combat and different characters, different creatures you've designed?
Yeah, of course. Let's see what's happening. Now it's Bastion's turn. You see he has 4 cards on his hand. He has 29 cards left in his deck. He's now playing Mantiora, which is a poisonous spider. It's not too big on attack strength, but of course, due to the poison effect, it will permanently halve the attack and rest values of every creature it gets defeated by. So this is a very strong tactical option that you always have. You have a poisonous creature on your deck. Speaking of which, Bastion, are you playing a standard deck right now?
No, actually not. As I mentioned earlier, I have created a couple of custom decks that are themed ones, I guess, based on either specific color combinations. So instead of utilizing all 3 kinds of crystal in one deck, just 2, boosting each other up. This particular deck is one that's completely based around kiting creatures. So there's only kiting creatures in this deck, no Mammalias or Avis or Aqua.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting. You know, we have 6 races in the game, creature races, and if you focus on one race, like chitin in this case, you will have the huge benefit that all the chitin specific buffs apply to most of your cards. So while you're going to have to focus on the strength of that particular race, you also get the biggest amount of and the biggest probability of buffs. So that is definitely going to be interesting to see how that deck performs.
Now, from what I saw, the chitin have a pretty good odds of buffing each other as well. They're sort of like an insect, almost like a hive mentality. So a lot of them will provide boosts to each other. I think I saw one where it like provides a +7 attack to each of the other chitin that are in the attack row. Is that about the right feel?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the idea that is behind the chitin race. Hive mind is actually a great comparison. I didn't think of that myself. But the thing is, you can play many of the cards early because they're relatively cheap. And then you can have these boosts that come through the abilities, so they will grow really strong, and that gives interesting tactical options. Don't you say, Christopher?
Well, overall, pretty much every single card plays a role. It doesn't matter if it's a big card or a small card. It's all dependent upon how you actually use the cards. And then also, well, even the chitin, discarding and so forth. Me personally, I prefer toxic decks. That's just so that I can get the damage reduced on the opponent's cards, and easier take them out. But yeah, you have Sergey, who loves the Aqua. You have me, who tends to, I'm working right now on a discard deck, which basically is just to annihilate the deck of your opponent.
So how many races do you mix in a deck typically?
Typically 2. Just because it's the best balance in terms of keeping creatures out. But I think for my discard deck it'll probably be 3. That's where, when you're using a customized deck, you have to look at things like the statistics, which will show you how much of a certain color resource you have going out, but also what your yield is, which is what's coming in. And that's one of the things that'll certainly help you when you're trying to balance a deck and make it more effective.
Oh, that's interesting, Bastian.
I know that's not something we'll be able to show off until after the match is over. But one of the other things that I do appreciate about the design of the deck builder is how easy it is to tell whether or not your deck is balanced, because it right at a glance you can check the stats to see whether you have too much of a certain crystal coming in or too much going out. It's easy to filter and figure out, okay, well, I just want things that are going to give me red crystals, and figure out what supports or what creatures I need to add. Handles a lot of the things that I spent hours sorting my cards when I was playing physical card games. You can do them at with the push of a button or the touch of a screen, and that's pretty streamlined.
Since you mentioned it, Josh, another feature that, I mean, me personally, I love it just because you never know when you have to go AFK or you have to do something. I'll actually end the game on Bastion right now and show you the deck options. Because another feature of Tridek is, the game isn't actually closed, it's still there. So in the deck builder, when you click on show statistics, it's showing the crystals that are going in and out, but also the number of cards you have and stuff. So I mean, in terms of balancing your deck, this is awesome.
Yep, that's been a top priority, especially as you have this resource system, which is in itself an innovation. So we needed to make sure that you get that crystal balance at a glance. I mean, that's okay, now he's resuming the game, so just to show off. Here you go.
Yes, I admit that that was just to show off some of the resume features. It's also worth noting that, I mean, I can log in on Tridek on my Kindle Fire, for example. I can resume the game there even though I started on PC.
Yeah, I call that device hopping.
Yeah, exactly. But you never know when you have to run out the door or whatnot, so being able to just jump on your mobile device and continue the game is actually awesome.
And there's one question that has come up with that every now and then, which is what's happening if the other guy has gone as well. The thing is that you can continue playing asynchronously as well. So you can just make your turn, like in letter chess, and just leave the game again. Then the other guy gets notified, can make his turn, leave it again, and as soon as both guys are back online at the same time, they can resume playing synchronously. And that's happening on every device that you want to play it on. You can hop from wherever you come to wherever you want to go.
So those games stay. Is there a set amount of time that players need to come back before they're, like kicked from a match or things like that, or?
That's actually something that we want to find out over time. What's best? Ask the community. Right now the implementation is split between unranked games and ranked games. For the quick match and multiplayer challenge games, which are unranked, you always be able to resume the last game that you played, because we assume that this is for fun, so you're most interested in the last game that you've been playing. And on the other hand, you have the tournaments and the league games, which are ranked, so they count towards your world rank, the ELO rank. Okay. And for this, we actually have a list that will be able to hold any number of games, but as you already suggested, it's controlled through a timeout. So after a configurable number of hours or days, they will be removed from the list, and we're probably going to eliminate the result from the world rank, so that you can't cheat to win.
Great.
Well, since Christian's on here and Josh is also on here, we had mentioned this in a previous stream, but I mean it is repetitive in terms of being asked. With that said, can you go ahead and tell Josh, Christian, about things like communication in game, whether it's chat or whatever, but also on the cards themselves, trading them, that ideal and concept behind, the ability to tweak your deck by using, a friend or whatever, so that both of you guys help each other out, as traditionally known as in trading card games.
Yes, of course. Let's start with the first topic, which is the communication in game. Up to now, we had this priority of getting the game right, and we're going to have a new milestone build coming up that basically represents that vision. And the next thing that is on the top of my list for the next development sprint will be to get an in-game text chat.
Great.
So this is going to be cross-platform. So again, whatever device you're playing on, you just bring up the text chat, type in your message, and the other ones are going to be able to read it. That's just to ensure that the basic communication when you're setting up a game or you need to go AFK is handled easily and conveniently. And you also feel that the other person's there. You get a sense of playing a real person, and I mean, there's going to be some, bad language and stuff that we have to deal with, but we're probably just going to let you opt out of the text chat if you feel bothered by a certain person. Shall I go into the other topic, the card and card trading?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. So what's happening basically is that we try to come up with a solid amount of cards. Right now we have about 150 cards in the game, and we feel that this is a pretty robust start, just to be able to discover each and every card. And also, if you look at the detailed view of the card, if any one of you could do that quickly for me, you can see that the card has actually a rarity on it. Thanks. The number of diamonds on the middle right is the rarity. And we're going to, maybe make it stand out a little bit more. Right now, that's the indicator for the rarity. So, obviously, if you get cards, for example, through boosters, you're going to get the rare cards much more rarely, as the name indicates. So the percentages are different, and you're going to end up with a lot of common cards and much less rare cards. So it hasn't really been decided yet. We're still figuring it out, but we want to address this issue in a very interactive way, talking to the community and implementing what they wish. Yeah, Christopher is just chatting with me on the private chat. So he wants me to go into the PC version. The thing is that we're going to have the PC version, which includes all the cards that we launched the game with.
Okay.
So the cards will be in the game. You don't have to purchase boosters or anything to gain those cards. but you just unlock them through playing. And on the mobile version, the client is going to be free, but of course you have to purchase boosters to get all the cards. The major issue here is that the cards are organized in the cards are organized in card editions, and we're going to continue to launch new card editions over time. So as I said, we have around 150 cards in the game right now, and we intend to double that number by the end of the year.
Oh, wow.
And we do that. Yeah, we're continuously developing new cards, and we just, balance them and iterate over them and choose the best ones. We'll also plan to introduce a new card type later. Right now we have creatures and hacks and support cards, and there's going to be a fourth type, which will also be introduced over the editions. So there's going to be an edition that has a couple of those cards to help you get used to them without unbalancing the game. And then in a future edition we're going to have more advanced types of that card for the players who are accustomed to them and want to use them in more advanced tactics. So that's just something that grows. Now, at the same time, as I said, you're going to have more and more common cards on your hands, but you might not get the rare cards that you want. So the first thing we'll probably do is get you a means to get rid of your common cards that you have too many of.
Shadowzos in the chat actually had a good question. For everyone who can't view the chat, don't forget to sign up for Twitch, and then you can actually talk with everyone. But he actually asked if there will be cycles in card sets, like some time sets pass, and will we like phase out older sets, or will all the cards remain valid? That kind of thing. Good question.
Yeah, and, the obvious answer is that it hasn't been decided yet. Personally, I like to keep the old cards in the game as long as possible. But if we get to the point where a card or a set of cards starts to unbalance the game, we have to do something about it. Maybe we'll have a vote or something and ask players what to do with them. I've read a lot about this topic and thought about a lot about that topic, but I'm not alone, so I'm not going to announce anything tonight. Yeah. Back to the card trading features. The first thing we're going to do is to get you a means to get rid of the cards that you don't want. So, for example, you might trade them in for shards and then use the shards to unlock other cards. So that would be pretty straightforward. And the next step would be to have player-to-player trading. So you can put up your offer. I offer this card, and then your friend can offer you another card in return. You just close the deal and the cards are traded. And from there we'll have to see. I mean, nothing of that is implemented yet. We need to do that. But we might end up, if the community wants that, with a full-scale auction house. We can even do web integration through our community hub on the website Tridek.com, and let you, deal your trades there. And we can even in the auction house we can even include full custom decks. So you're not only trading cards but also decks. But that's all future, and we all have to evolve that, listening closely to our community over time. Hey Christopher, what are we seeing here?
That is actually the quiz. I figured I would show it since last time I spoke to everybody. It didn't work quite the way I intended it to.
Is that the middle one? I think so.
Yeah, it should be. But basically, this is also in it. We have lots of people saying, you know, well, how can I get currency in the game? How do I gain shards? It's actually extremely easy. People who are fans of just multiplayer, naturally tournaments. There are prizes. You can earn shards by completing the tutorial. You can earn it by playing the game. And also we have this, the card quiz, which is a really cool feature because anyone who's played many trading card games knows that one of the things that tends to slow you down a little bit is when you just don't recognize the card that's being played. So you're sitting there going, well, what does that do? And you have to keep checking. With the card quiz, not only can you win shards, but you'll also learn what exactly it is the cards do. As you can see, I'll get 30 shards. The longer you play and the more you get right, it keeps going down. But yeah, for example, this one I have 3 cards. This is the text that goes with the card. Flora only. Whenever the hat creature defeats an opposing creature, you gain 1 crystal in the color of the opposing creature's cost. And if you look, there are little hints. There's faint text actually here that says Flora. So yeah, if I pick the middle, correct. And you can see here, it gives me a reward for getting it right.
That's nice. It provides players an incentive to do that learning early. So, I mean, because one of the things is the game does take place in real time. So, you know, if you're playing somebody who has to take a look at, you know, every card that they've got in their hand and every card that's in play, it takes longer to actually go through the game. So that's a nice system.
Yeah, and you know, it also has that added benefit of it'll actually speed up the games as well. If you consider how much time you spend always, you know, trying to remember what does that card do, and you know, always going back and stuff. It's a neat way to basically get a reward and at the same time learn the game actually better, which is never a bad thing.
Yeah. It doubles as a playful tutorial, and it's also a lot of fun when played co-op with a friend. So it's like, you know, Tridek, the party game. A little bit of Jeopardy in there. And you get to look at the beautiful cards. That's a third benefit. Also, the number of shards that you can get resets over time, so you can't use it to grind, but you can play it for a bit every day.
You know, actually, I'm talking with a friend about this. This is like if you guys could talk a little bit about the usage of the crystals and the crystal system versus some you know, your kind of conventional resource management in card games, and why you decided to go that route.
Yeah, of course I can do. The thing that we started with is that normally you need cards for resources, like in Magic, and we wanted to get rid of that. Very, very, very long ago, Tridek started out as a strategy game without using cards, and that's where the idea for this give and take resource system originated from, and we basically kept it in the game when it became a card game, and it gives that additional layer of strategy, so you can keep in mind the flow of resources to start your games really, really quickly. You have these strategic moves that just enable you to play another card. And you can always skip a turn to gain a crystal. So in other trading card games, it's really down to luck if you get that particular land or not that you want to play, that you need to play. In this Tridek, it's really only a matter of 1 or 2 or 3 turns maximum if you're very, very unlucky, to be able to play that creature again, to get back into the game to gather the required crystals. So this is a very quick system, it's a very elegant system, it's a very tactical system, and it removes a lot of the luck factor. That's the basic rundown.
I do like, there were a couple games I was playing in the campaign, and the campaign is actually something I'll bring up later. But I liked that there were some situations where it was like I was short on blue crystals, and I had a support card that would allow me to draw blue crystals, but I'd have to, like, it would end up lowering the attack of my monsters by playing the cards. And so on one hand I needed that resource, and I was able to take that strategy where it was a bit of a detriment to myself on one hand, but I was still able to go through and create the resources I needed for the long run. And that was a very interesting combination.
Yeah, again, the private text chat. Yeah, it's a dual layer of strategy. I mean, I'm always torn between having the quick payoff and the long-term payoff. And most of the time, obviously, the more tactical option is the long-term payoff. But you can also have speed decks where you just optimize for a very, very quick and efficient crystal flow, and you just storm over your opponent before he has the time to react. And that's it's just that additional layer of strategy that you have, and different types of decks that make sense or that you're most comfortable with. After all, the most fun next to playing the game comes from building the decks.
I mean, to sum up the resource system, Josh, I was a major fan of anything Magic. I still have all the first edition cards too. But the thing I hated was when you're trying to play a speed deck and just luck isn't there. It has nothing to do with strategy. It all comes down to pure luck and not having any resources, and you lose the game in 10 turns because you have no ability to do anything. And with the way the crystal system actually works and reduces that, it's absolutely brilliant, because it makes the gameplay a lot more thought out and a lot more strategic and tactical, as opposed to who has the 4-leaf clover tucked in their pocket.
Right.
Also, we iterated a lot over that visual representation of the crystals in the game. We're pretty happy with the current display on the right of the screen, but I think it's going to be even more beautiful in the upcoming build that you get to play next week. It's just so important that you keep the flow of resources, keep track of the flow of resources in the game.
That I did. I will say I ran into that problem a few times. First couple games, it's easy to say, oh well, I've got enough resources, I'll just go ahead and play it. And then next thing you know, you have like 9 green resources. You're out of red, you're out of blue, and your deck's just stalled. So you're right. It's resource management. It's a different kind of resource management because you have so much influence on it.
I mean, you can always skip turns to gain crystals, but of course it's a lot of loss in speed. I mean, if I skip my turn, I can't do anything this turn. So of course I want to keep my resources flowing as efficiently as possible to be quick. And if you get stalled, you only get stalled for like 2 or 3 turns, but that can be enough to allow your opponent to get an edge on you. So this looks pretty good. Christopher has a really nice green creature and enough green crystals, so that's the kind of situation that we actually want. And it has red yield, so that's also helpful. So that's the type of crystal flow that you're actually looking for. So, Christopher, what deck are you currently playing?
This is another one of my custom decks that generally did pretty decent.
Any theme?
No, not particularly. Just red and green. Bit of toxic thrown in, creatures that do double attack, and then also a few cheap ones that have high attack just for blockers in the front row.
Is this Chitin and Avis?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mix though. You'll find there's quite a few other cards in the deck as well. But the crystal focus is simply on red-colored crystals and also green. And there is quite a bit of discarding as well, because I like the fact that forcing someone to discard reduces their options, and so they have to play differently.
Yep. Sebastian has 3 deploys now. Let's see what he plays. That's good.
Yeah, this is another one of the toxic creatures, which, as I said, yeah, the toxic creatures can be a pain. It really depends on the creature. Some are toxic and reduce the values by half.
I love the creature art on that guy.
That's
So-
Oh, go ahead.
So beautiful. That's what did you want to say?
Tell me a bit, or talk to me a bit about the balance between. Christopher was telling me a bit about this yesterday. The balance between the overall victory point system and the strength of your different cards and characters. It took me a little bit to realize just kind of the finesse that's involved in that. But yeah, if you could talk a bit about how you came up with that balance.
Yeah, it's actually pretty straightforward. Strong creatures have less victory points, and smaller creatures have more victory points. And of course there are the in-betweeners, which have certain abilities or something, so they will be in the middle range. The idea behind that is pretty much to give every creature an important role to play. There are, simply put, no worthless creatures in the game. Every single creature makes a lot of sense. And one typical application of that will be that you have your strong creatures, which are basically acting like tanks in the front row, as your first line of offense to break the opponent's defense. But they will not give you a lot of victory points, so it's just doesn't make any sense to try to win the game with those, because you give your opponent way too much time to react and build up his defense, and then kill your creatures and remove your creatures from a playfield. So the best option will be to follow up with some middle creatures to get your foot in the door, and then have some quick attack with small creatures to actually have a big victory point win. So it's this three-pronged strategy that will be typical for most attacks. And you can attack as often as you want. You only have a certain number of deploys every round, but you can attack with as much creatures as you want. So that gives you a lot of speed in the game. Some creatures can even attack more than once per round.
Yeah, there's an avian. It's a red.
Storm Needle.
Yes, love that card.
Yeah, that's very easy to to get good attacks with that card. That's very satisfying. This is also one great card, the Silken Wings. Christoph. Excuse me, Bastian, I didn't hear that.
What? Don't wake me up.
Okay. Yeah. So this is another fantastic offensive card.
I mean, plus there's other cards that have, like Jade Dragon, he has 3 victory points. He's not the strongest for attack or in res, but if you notice, he can do a direct attack.
Yeah.
So I can attack with this one even if he has, you know, a full row of creatures in the front.
Yeah. So that's a typical example of a creature that gets strong through its ability. So it will be in the middle victory point range to ensure the balance. And also, of course, we have the res row, which halves your victory points. If you win a fight against a creature in the opponent's res row, you only gain half the victory points, which also is important for the balancing, obviously, because we have, for example, creatures that can attack from the back row, so they need to have a lot of victory points because they will be halved. It's called Reach, the ability to attack from the back row to the back row.
Can you? That's a good point. There are some other abilities that seem to be kind of a little more unique to Tridek. Like I think one that stuck out to me was Inspiration.
Yeah, Storm Needle.
There it is. I love Storm Needle. Kind of hard to get it into play with the cost of 4, but it's just nice being able to do that dual attack. You can really rack up the victory points pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. So which ability did you want to learn about?
Inspiration.
Inspiration.
I believe is that you when it's in play, you're able to generate an extra crystal. Just some of those different abilities. Are there ones that you feel like are particularly unique to Tridek, or ones that you feel like are really good for the gameplay?
Christopher, do you have a strong opinion on that?
As for uniqueness, definitely any card that adds yield. You'll find that there's quite a few defensive aqua cards that have an increase in a card's yield value. This is the crystals that you're getting back. And that's, you know, that reflects on actually the resource system. Fluidity, fluidize, which allows a card to go from the front row directly to the back row.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's really useful, and I haven't recalled actually seeing it in other games, but then again, that's, you know, you have to think of our play field versus others.
Yep.
So that also plays a role in some of the abilities, because they also help to enhance the play field, and so it also lends more to the gameplay with the abilities that we have.
Yep. So Fluidize is a perfect example. It taps into that fact that we have the attack row and the resistance row, and if a card with Fluidize is in the attack row and this is actually loses a fight against another creature, instead of being removed from the playfield, it switches automatically to the res row. So that gives you that extra line of defense, very satisfying. But of course you also have to take care, because if there is no slot left in the res row, it will still be removed from the playfield. So you have to consider that. If you want to actually utilize the Fluidize, you always have to reserve a slot for that in the back row. Which, interestingly enough, taps into the deploy rule of the game. You can always catch up. So if Christopher had like 5 cards out there, Bastion would be able to also have as many deploys and catch up to that 5 cards. So that's also something that makes Tridek very fair. It's not like the guy who's winning anyway will win, but it's a better player with better cards who will win.
So, tell me a bit about just how the development process has continued thus far. You know, when you kind of took the idea from the physical area and started transitioning it into this big crossplay, crossplay online project.
Mm-hmm.
What made you decide to focus on those particular aspects of development?
The game has had a relatively short development time. We started development a little more than a year ago for the actual implementation, and so we had to focus on the things that we thought would be most important to realize the vision that we wanted to convey, and at the same time be feasible in that time frame that we had. So a lot of the choices also on the technological side were made down to the fact that we would be very efficient making the game, and at the same time we would be able to implement all these strengths. So just to mention that the server is made with a technology called Node.js, which is not very beautiful to look at if you look at the code, but it's very, very efficient to build, and it has a strong community, a development community, and it also is available to be deployed into the cloud. So if we have a server backend in a live system with a lot of players, we will be able to scale it up transparently. So you should never get any lag or timeouts or other issues that you get when a server is fully loaded, because it scales dynamically in the cloud. And also on the front end side, we have that scale from UI that I already mentioned, ensuring full resolution and full screen display on every device, so we don't have to take care of your regular, pixel graphics based UI that other games have. Makes the design process very, very efficient, and this is actually the third iteration of the UI that you're looking at, so we already reworked that twice, and I'm very happy with it now.
Great. Now, Tridek does also offer, in addition to the traditional, multiplayer that you'd be able to have with any even physical card game, also has a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And can you tell me a bit about why you decided to feature a campaign, different highlights of those particular missions?
Yes, I'd love to. Can we show the campaign?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. The reason why I wanted to have this campaign mode is pretty simple. Because I feel that single player is underrepresented in many of these games. It's not something that I want to feel like it's like an afterthought, something that we need tacked on just to have the bullet point checked on the list, but instead to have something that's really worthwhile for the players who want to play single player. So the campaign design came from the lore. So we have this planet Galena. This is this faraway foreign planet that has this colonists going there from Earth, and Now, what's happening on such a planet? I mean, it's terraformed as we speak. That's a long running process over several generations. And in the meantime, it's going to be a wild and rough country with a lot of emptiness in between. So people are spread wide. And you're actually kind of a traveler. You're traveling through the lands of Galena to become the Tridek champion. And so you make this journey. You see here, it's basically like a satellite map. And you will encounter other masters of Tridek along the way. The idea is basically that the card edition ties into the campaign. So if you play a certain campaign, it will have champions in there that you encounter one by one, who play with decks that are filled with the cards of that particular region. So the creatures that you encounter are the creatures who live in that region of Galena, and who belong to that card edition of Tridek. And as we launch more card editions, we will also launch more single-player campaigns to give you the opportunity to travel through other regions of Galena and get to learn the creatures that live there. Also, we try to put a lot of personality into the actual players that you encounter. So in this case, it's NeoGip. You're going to have a character portrait, a name, a description of that guy, and he's also going to have a particular deck, of course, and he's also going to have certain personality traits. So he may be very aggressive or defensive. He may be a bit of a coward, and we are actually influencing the AI so that each of the players feels a little bit different, and then the unique combination of that particular AI player's character traits and the deck he's playing, the optimized deck for that character, is going to give you a unique encounter for each of the different opponents that you face.
Great.
Yeah, and finally, the last thing I should mention is that you can keep playing the campaigns. It will keep rewarding you. Certain cards of the edition will be unlockable through the campaign, and of course you always get charged for whatever you do. And there's also one thing that we plan to do, it's not in the current build, is that you can basically unlock those opponents over time to fill like an opponent roster. And after you have unlocked an opponent, you can also choose him manually and assign a deck to him and play him manually from the menu. So as you progress through the campaign, each opponent that you beat will be a selectable character in your single-player AI roster. That's called a single-player challenge mode. I don't know actually when it's coming and how it's exactly going to look like, but that's the basic idea. Just to give you constant rewards, so that this playing single player will always give you a sense of progress and reward.
Now, so you've decided to. It looks like you've taken Tridek. You started up a Kickstarter for it, which is around a lot of up and coming games are going. Why did you decide to go with Kickstarter?
That is actually pretty simple. As I said, we had a limited scope available, and being a mobile game company up to this point, we wanted to stick to our expertise and make Tridek the best mobile game that we could. That's what we were able to do. That's the game that you're seeing right now. But that's I mean, it's very obvious that with that massive cross-platform strategy in place, you also want to bring this game to the PC where your players are. I mean, honestly, most of the enthusiastic trading card players are going to want to play this on the PC. But we need help with that. It's not something that we can do that easily on top of what we have already done. This is the best we could come up with, and to go from here to a perfect PC version with all the different challenges that go with that, we need help, and that's why the Kickstarter is done.
So, are there plans for any other for other sources like a Steam Greenlight or?
Christopher?
It's actually kind of funny that you chose to ask that right at this point. I'm currently uploading graphics to a Steam Greenlight page. So yeah, I mean we're pretty much looking at all the avenues because we do want the best possible game that can be released to be released. There are some challenges to when you do crowdfunding and stuff, but yeah, that's pretty much with everything.
Yeah. Have there been particular hassles or issues with the crowdfunding? I know that's kind of the talk in the industry right now, is the effectiveness of crowdfunding. Is it sustainable? Has it been a good experience for you?
I'll put it as nicely as I can. Just my own personal views. It is a challenge. Crowdfunding initially was, great. I mean, indie companies could go there. They could get crowd support for their games. And it was actually a pretty easy process. Unfortunately, it's also evolved a bit. Not 100% but from Kickstarter, but also the media. In that the majority of well-known IPs, well-known developers, basically rich and famous, they tend to do a lot better because they also get better exposure. And when you're an unknown IP, lots of feedback you also get is, well, no one really knows this game yet. So yeah, there is that challenge to it, but it's certainly something we're working on.
I mean, yeah. Please go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Our decision has been to make the game as power progressed as we can. Here you can see how he has beaten his first opponent, and then now he's traveled a bit and meeting the next one, actually. Yeah, regarding the Kickstarter, the thing is that we have decided to make the game up to this point in this very, very playable form, and to give it in the hands of people so they have more incentive to trust us. This is actually a game that is there, it's working, it's functioning, you can see it here on Twitch, you can play it. Now please believe us, this is not going to be vaporware.
Yeah, I mean, you can also, pretty much anybody right now can sign up for the closed beta just by going to www.tridek.com. And if they add Twitch to the end, which lets me know that, yeah, they've seen the Twitch stream, I can probably make sure that they get into the next phase of invites as well. So, I mean, yeah, they can already play the cross-platform, all that, and all of the actual money for the campaign is actually going to the development. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be like others who might start a new campaign because even though they got, 2,000% more than they needed, they couldn't actually cut it.
Stop ranting, Christopher.
I'm not ranting. It's, yeah.
Well, but you do have some development experiences, like you said. You're an established, mobile publisher.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about some of the other titles you've done and why you decided to transition into? It looks like you're putting a lot of the the energy and time into Tridek's development. So,
Mhm.
talk a bit about how you a little bit more about your history and how you transitioned into where you are today.
Yeah, personally, this is the 10th title I've produced at DreamFab, counting the ones where I was project lead and not operating producer, like Bastion, for example. We started out with pretty casual games. That was our first focus. We did a pretty beautiful runner game called Demolition Dash, and I was responsible for several very, very nice physics puzzles like Happy Hills and Saving Yellow. Games that I still like to play personally, and I think that's also the biggest thing. I mean, I don't think that you can make a great game that unless you personally love to play it. And that's definitely the case here. It's a work of love. And the reason is because I wanted to make a game that is able to be distributed as free-to-play, but I didn't want to treat my players badly. You know, this is supposed to be a player's game, where the more you play, the more fun you have. And I think trading card games are perfect for that, because it's so natural, even from the physical card games, from Magic and so. As a kid, you purchased those booster packs in the shop, and that's essentially the real-life equivalent of successful free-to-play monetization. So it was very obvious for me that this would be a perfect match for that strategy, to have a game with more depth to it, more strategic depth for a wide range of gamers, from casual to enthusiasts. And it could be done as a free-to-play game without actually having to to put any timers in or anything other that's so typical for other free-to-play type of games. This is a game that you can play as much as you want, as long as you want, as intensely as you want, and it's always going to be only more fun the more you play it. And last but not least, of course, it was already there. That's the most important point, because when I met the Bitburns, Alex Whelan showed me the game, which was back then called Crystal Monsters, and we just couldn't stop playing it. We played the physical prototype up and down for days, and then we knew we had it. That was the game we wanted to make. That's the main reason. It's not a game that has been designed on some drawing board, but it has a game that has been grown over years to become that very, very evolved, tactical, deep, balanced experience that you see here. We only had to put it on digital.
So, are there? I know that the cross-platform project as a whole is already a pretty big endeavor, just going between iOS, Android, PC, Mac.
Mm-hmm.
There are other titles have tried to do cross-platform in the console sphere, recent one being Defiance, and was not able to be as successful. Do you foresee expanding to other platforms, perhaps like Windows Mobile, the Ouya, which runs on an Android system, but may require some tweaking? Do you see expansion in the future if you're able to get this to take off?
Yes, of course. The most obvious route that we can take is to get the game into as many players as possible hands. To have a maximum level of convenience. Wherever you want to play, whenever you want to play, you're going to have the opportunity to. That's the long-term strategy for Tridek. It's not something that is supposed to be limited by technological barriers. So, you name it. Windows, Mac, Linux, Windows Phone 8, BlackBerry, Ouya. Yeah, they're all somewhere down the roadmap. But right now we're focusing on bringing the game to PC, because the PC is where we see that most of the enthusiast players are. So this is where we need to be first. Basically the Kickstarter is going to fund another half year of development that we need to make the perfect PC version and really ensure that this game matures in the way that we want it to.
Just to dial back to the game a bit, I know we've talked a little bit about some of the different options that are available for ways that players can interact with each other. One of those ideas being tournament play.
Yeah.
Are there to kind of bring the two subjects together? I know Christopher and I kind of joked around about the idea of having targeted tournaments. So perhaps if you had a PC versus Mac versus versus iOS type tournaments. What kind of events or special organizations do you have planned, and are there planned for clan support?
Yep. Again, this is very much about the request of the community. I'm very sure that clan support will be requested. But the interesting question will be which features are requested the most and the loudest, and this will determine the order by which we'll implement things. So we'll have to wait and see how far up on the players' list that clan support is. But actually, I have it on my personal list, and I would like to implement it tomorrow if I could. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. It's always more fun if you have someone as a go-to guy online, yeah, the game is perfect for that. In the meantime, we might evolve our website as a community hub, so people can start getting organized, even if the game UI doesn't support it yet.
And as far as the gameplay, I guess kind of on that same note, have you considered, and this might be down the road as well, but other battle formats, so like a 2v2 or like 4-person kind of all against all? Have you looked, or have you thought of other ways to kind of to tweak the engine to support those kinds of matches?
Oh no, that's a hard one. I should say that at the moment the game is built with the game is built for the mobile platforms, just to be honest. And there we saw it as a major hindrance to have the need to get more players connected at the same time. Not a technical hindrance. Here you can see Bastian bluffing, by the way. He's putting a blocker in there, and we don't need what it is. Know what it is. Yeah. Just an organizational thing. If you're on the run with your smartphone in your pocket, you never know how many of your friends are going to be online at the same time. This is not, the evening where you can expect most people to play a round of Tridek before they leave for their nightly activities. But this is some time during the day, and maybe different time zones or whatever. So we wanted to maximize the probability of being able to play online, so we focused on 1 versus 1. If you look at the PC, we have different occasions during the day when you play. Oh, this is nice. Very nice. If you look at the PC, you have different occasions during the day when you will play. and a much higher probability of getting more people in front of the screen at the same time. So yeah, one of the things down the road could be to investigate these options, but that will be one of the bigger parts of PC optimization that we have to undertake down our roadmap. It's probably not going to happen very soon. But I love to. I mean, I play that a lot in Duels of the Planeswalkers. Co-op is my favorite mode.
I tell you, I think as far as my questions are concerned, you guys have been great. You've given me a lot of information. Are there any other kind of final points you want to bring up? I know the live stream will probably be going even after I'm gone, but were there other things that you wanted to bring up or topics that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, just one thing because I'm seeing the filter. Christopher, can you put in 80K bigger than 30 in the text search? 80K, then the bigger than sign. TK, bigger than, no space. No space. Exactly, yeah. So that is something you can do. It's very, very powerful. Just to give you the option, you don't have any 80K bigger than 30, you use 20 or something. The filters, once you get through them. Oh, this is one other thing. Tap on the question mark, please. Down. Down, middle. Yes, thank you. So this is another thing. You can request help for any area on screen on the go. So if you're not sure what the text filter options are, you can just request them. So this is stuff that we really looked into to get people started and to make it as conveniently to use as possible. And especially in the deck building and obviously in the duels. This is, after all, this is going to be mostly a PvP game in the long run, even with the extensive campaign options. So we want to get players started on the game quickly and easily, and as painless as possible.
Right. And if you could pull up that show statistics for me, just to show off that, that balance.
Once more.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually, like I said, I really appreciate being able to, at a glance, figure out how my crystal draw is balancing and the different cards that I've chosen, that kind of thing. That's really convenient to be able to just see without having to go through and manually calculate it.
Thanks a lot. I mean, I call this our wanted poster view because it gives you the essential data at a glance. And I mean, on the PC, you're going to have that visible all the time. You have to switch to get there. But it gives you an easy indication if your deck is going to work or not. And that's so important for a game that innovates on the resource system. We need, again, it's a matter of convenience, we need to make the resource system as easy to use as possible, both in the game and in the deck building.
Well, thank you guys for your time and for getting me on the live stream. It looks great. I am looking forward to maybe seeing more cards like Strutting Leo and Independence Day. But I think you've got a lot going here, and I'm looking forward to see how the Kickstarter goes and how the project progresses over time. So, good luck and enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Josh. We'll have multiple streams going. I mean, this isn't just a one-day thing. It's Independence Day, so we'll stream on some of the more active U.S. times. But it's almost every day you can find something new, content-wise in the stream, and if people miss a stream, there's always the videos as well.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. You know, everybody, just let them know. You can check out Got Game, and we'll be sure to post updated Tridek information as it comes out.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Look forward to seeing it.
Not a problem. All right. Have a great day, everybody.
You as well, and happy 4th of July.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, Christian, with regards to the deck, do you have any favorites?
A favorite deck?
Yeah, have you actually created a customized deck using a certain card type?
Yes, I've started to. You asked me to.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, I've been playing the standard decks for so long because they kept working for me so well. And I always, I challenged Bastian to beat me. He hasn't been able to. So I saw no reason to improve on my decks. But if I would, from everything I've seen, I would really try to build either an Aqua deck right now, or maybe an Abyss deck, just for the sake of it, just to see if I can.
Okay, that works.
I love the idea of the single creature decks. That's single race decks. It's just, I mean, that's generally what I adore the most. If you have these additional tactical options hidden on the cards. And it seems like the single race decks are going to have the most of those.
Yeah, that is possible. But yeah, there is something to say about the actual pre-made decks as well, because they are balanced extremely well. And so if you play with them properly, it really rocks, to put it in no other term.
You won't get stuck. There's always something relevant to do, and if your opponent stalls, you have a foot in the door with a standard deck, and that's something you have to iterate a lot upon in your own deck to be similarly balanced.
Yep, that is very true. Alright, everybody, we're going to be taking a short break. We'll be back later again, probably in a few hours. So go ahead, enjoy your 4th of July. If you're in Europe, go ahead and enjoy your time off, since, yeah, most people aren't working currently at 10 o'clock at night. And, yeah, I hope to see you guys later this evening. And if you have questions, don't forget to register on Tridek.com in the forums. You can also register for the closed beta. Invites are already going out. And you can check out our Kickstarter at kickstarter.tridek.com. And we look forward to hearing from you guys.